Well, good morning, everyone that has been able to sign in from whatever time zone you might be in. Welcome to our webinar, How to Use AI. And this is going to be a ton of fun. And what we're going to do is show real use cases of how we use AI in our organization, with hopes that it will give you some insights as to how you can leverage AI. So let's get going. First, I want to start with a land acknowledgement. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I am taking this moment to acknowledge that while this webinar is virtual, I am joining you in Edmonton from Treaty 6 territory. This place is a traditional homeland for the First Nations and Métis people, and today some of you, myself, colleagues, and clients are part of this treaty land where we work, learn, and thrive together. Now, there's another type of acknowledgement that has been popping up for people that are creating content, and it's an AI acknowledgement. And while there's still wordsmithing and crafting that's going on, we used AI to craft this acknowledgement. And so we acknowledge the support of OpenAI's artificial intelligence in this project. Its tools were instrumental in data analysis and the creative content generation. AI's natural language processing capabilities enhanced our productivity and analytical scope. We thank the OpenAI team for their contributions to AI development, which significantly aided our work. Now, we use Chat GPT to do this, so it's a little bit skewed towards OpenAI. But the point of it is that when you get into responsible use of AI, you need to have transparency as one of your pillars for responsible use of AI. And we will get into that a little bit later, but to build this presentation, we used AI throughout it. And so we're being transparent about that. So a little bit about me. This is some background that you can read, like a professional bio, and looks like I should probably update my image because there's a little more gray in the video that you're seeing. But what was interesting is a recent client introduced me and said that Steve loves data, Steve loves technology, Steve loves trying to figure things out. And I'm not going to pretend to be an AI expert. Do I use AI on a daily basis? Absolutely. I've been using AI on a daily basis now for months, not quite a year, but it's now something that is baked into how I go about doing my work. Personally, it has gained me at minimum 10 to 15% efficiency on a weekly basis. So that's significant. That's double digits. From an organizational perspective, I don't think roadmap is there where we've gotten those double digits type gains in efficiency. However, a metric that we do track is called earned value. And our earned value has been consistently ticking up. So that shows how much more efficient we are getting with our project execution. So anyway, let's dive in. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, why now? What is AI? How do we use AI? And we'll go through some of the stuff we do. I'm going to do a live demo of us actually using AI, and I'll just have some fun there. Talk about responsible AI, and then there's some resources that we can look at. So why now? Well, November 30th of 2022 or 2022 is when OpenAI launched Chat GPT to the world and made it open. And really, AI had been around for a lot longer than that. And our organization had been using Jasper AI to help us with content creation prior to that. But I'm going to say things really exploded literally almost a year ago. And when you think about it, AI is everywhere. It's ubiquitous. So YouTube suggests your videos, Facebook's targets you with ads using AI, TikTok's personalizes things for you, right? Spotify gives you music you love. You unlock your Apple phone with your face, which is using visual AI. Your car, the sensors in your car actually, when they're beeping, whatever, that's visual AI. It's everywhere, from your shopping carts on e-commerce to just simple voice commands that you're using to do your phone. To this webinar being recorded and transcribed is AI. So it's all around us, and it's accelerating at a pace that is exponential. And to talk about that, when you look at Chat GPT, it had 1 million users in 5 days, and it had 100 million users in 2 months. To get to the 100 million user mark, TikTok had reached that the fastest ever and took 2.5 years. Facebook took 4.5 years. So it's just exploding. It's here to stay. And we're doing this webinar in an attempt to say, hey, here's some knowledge that we can share. Here's some ideas that you might be able to start. This webinar is, if you're an advanced AI user, this webinar is not for you. If you're trying to understand how you might actually use AI and start to use AI, this webinar is for you. So McKinsey Global Institute estimates up to $6 trillion impact of AI and other analytics on marketing and sales. And there's all kinds of stats talking about the financial impact of this. But you know, the truth of it is, if we delayed this webinar because of advances in AI that came out that we thought we needed to include into it, which is, you know, curating and creating our own GPT. So we have that in the live demo. But the fact of the matter is that this week there's been a pile of advances. It's just crazy how things go. The only thing that you can predict about AI is that there's going to be more powerful models in the future. There's going to be more uses of it. We're going to see a massive uptick in use of it in the 2024 election cycle. And while I say that, what's that presidential election cycle in the United States? When you look back to a previous election cycle, when Obama first got elected, that's when social media was heavily put into that. And the next election cycles, we've seen risks of cybersecurity and that kind of stuff coming forth. The amount of effort and impact of those cycles transform society. And so this time around, you know, the world's biggest economy is going into an election cycle, and we're going to see AI heavily leveraged for it. And there's going to be a lot of transformation that comes out of it. Don't know what that is. I just know it's going to be used heavily. So what is AI? People don't know what AI is sometimes. Well, you know, here's some definitions, but AI is a rapidly evolving technology rooted in the idea that machines can be taught to learn, think, and act like humans. But I think the best description of it is AI is the science of making machines smart. It's really, really that simple. And when you think about that, I was at a client meeting several weeks ago, and they were talking about Tesla. And Tesla isn't making, you know, electric cars. Tesla's making basically an autonomous robot that happens to be a car that drives around. And you need to think along those types of lines as to where things are going. So the basic definition is AI enables machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. And we've gone from basic calculations in the 50s to complex problem solving to where we are today with generative AI. So you have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, and neural networks, which algorithms are designed to recognize patterns. But really the pillars of it come into language, vision, and prediction. Okay, so with language, the big hype is you use natural language generation, and you have the generative AI. So where things have taken off is where you can put in an input that has access to a data model, and it generates an output. Okay, and that's what the transformers are. Is that they have algorithms that can take inputs and use data to generate outputs, and that comes in language, vision, and prediction. And so you can see the different types of things that are there, and everybody's getting excited about video generation, video recognition, various different generating blog posts and that kind of stuff and content. But really, we're really on the tip of the iceberg here as to where things are going. So that's the major types of AI that you see today. So why do you want to embrace AI as an organization or an individual, quite frankly? Well, the fact of the matter is that you get efficiency and productivity. I already talked about the personal efficiency gains that I've received, in this year. It's given me hours back. It's given me honestly, probably like upwards of 4 to 6 hours back a week that I would be stuck doing other types of tasks that I no longer have to do because AI takes care of that for me. Precision. Those tasks AI arguably does better than me. They don't forget things that I might forget when I'm doing the tasks. Scalable, large volume of work, customization. You can customization on scale if you've got the actual data inputted into your models. Proactive problem solving. and open new revenue streams for your organization. So for our organization, this has helped us with opening new revenue streams. With your organizations, you'll have to think about how you can apply it and use it, and it might just be gaining efficiencies. But the number one reason at this point in time, AI is not going to replace jobs and functions per se at scale. Well, in some cases it will, but for the most part, the loss will be not just due to AI taking a job. It'll be to what I call IA, which is intelligence automation or intelligence assisting, which is the use of AI by another human competitor. So you'll lose your job because somebody is more trained in AI how to do your job. Or your organization will not be as efficient as it could be, and you'll lose market share because you have competitors that are leveraging these tools and techniques. And that's really what it comes down to, at least at this stage. Yes, there are examples of people creating models and chatbots that are replacing call centers. Yes, that's replacing humans. They can be trained in that kind of stuff. But for the most part, it's people that are leveraging this as a tool that is going to replace people that are not leveraging it as a tool, or organizations that are not leveraging it as a tool. Okay, we'll keep moving along here. So now we know the why. So how does Roadmap use AI? Now to be clear, we use it, we're using it for the most part. I'm using it every day, and our organizational efficiencies are upticking. We're getting better and better at it as we're baking it into our standard operating procedures. And these are some of the basic ways in which we use AI to gain efficiencies. So we use it to create documentation, and we'll show you a case of that. We use it for data analysis. We use it for content creation, which is one of the big things that you see people using it. We use it for market research. We use it in our sales process, and we use it to create efficiencies with our meetings. Those are the big pillars in which how we use AI at this point in time. So writing SOPs, standard operating procedures. So using generative language models, we can create quick drafts of SOPs, and standard operating procedures are, you got to get more efficient at it. You got to remove the friction from your organization so you can add force and go faster and be more efficient. You need a process to stick to. So they're kind of a bane of what everybody does or needs to do in an organization. So this has, saved us hours by starting the process. And you can see here, tip, it's crucial to balance machine-generated content with human oversight. Well, obviously, you have to look at what's generated and go back and tidy it up a bit. But, you make how will you do this? You'd make a list of areas that you need standard operating procedures. You gather some preliminary information, and you feed it into something like Chat GPT or another generative language model, and get the outputs so that you can then refine and you periodically update, right? But it can save you hours. Now, here's a simple example of generating an SOP. So we wanted to generate an SOP for social posting. So this was the prompt. Write a roadmap SOP, standard operating procedure, for social posting using the following headings: purpose, procedure, tool, software, supporting documentation, including a content creator calendar and client sign-off and final posting to the platform as part of the well, I didn't even say as part of the SOP, but it figured it out. We have formatted what was outputted, but this is the output. Purpose is defined. All the different procedures are defined with definitions of said procedures as to how to do it. Now, let me be clear. This is unedited. We did the one prompt there, and this is the outputs that was created. It is pretty darn good. In fact, we'll take this and just change it and tweak it a little bit, but it saves a lot of thought process, a lot of mental horsepower, and it saves time on actually documenting all this stuff. Now, again, we formatted this to make it more readable because the outputs are generally in just text, and you'll see that when we do a demo. But massive amount of mental horsepower was saved, time was saved, and it's a starting point. And it brought up some stuff that I didn't even think about that we needed in our SOP. So a great example of how this generates an output and creates something of value add that can be used in your organization. Okay, so AI task 2, data analysis. Okay, AI can process vast amount of data quickly and create real-time analytics, predictive modeling. So what you have to do is you have to define the problem or objective, gather relevant data, choose suitable AI tools or platforms, use AI to analyze the data, and then you interpret the results, of course, right? So Chat GPT can be used for this, Jasper. There's other types of models that can be used that to feed into it stuff. But you can get like real-time feedback that you might spend hours analyzing, which then it gives you quick direction. So as an example of this, how we use it, we'll feed in meeting transports or market research interviews, sales call logs, that kind of stuff. And then we'll get that stuff in there with a prompt to review for documentation or review for insights. So an example, taking digital surveys, all that kind of stuff, we'll feed it in using a prompt, and then we'll ask it to summarize stuff. And you can get further with a prompt, is get the percentage of the respondents that do this if you feed it enough data. Now, we've kept this kind of general and sanitized it a little bit for NDAs and that kind of thing. But essentially, what you can see here is we use this prompt, and it gives us this starting point of, hey, pricing is important, customer service and support is important based on it. Here's some age range, here's marital status, and you start to get demographics on the people from the data that's been collected, and this all gets compiled and looked at. And again, you can get the percentages and stuff like that without having to do the mental horsepower to do that analysis. Okay. Now you want to check this, of course, but it saves a ton of time and it gets you started in the direction on your analysis. So the big one though is content creation. And people are generating images, people are generating blog posts, people are generating copy for websites, people are generating sales copy, people are generating social posts, the list goes on. Okay. And now with the launch of creating your own GPT, you can build, which we'll show in the demo, you can build a GPT for your organization, which will allow you to have the outputs on your brand voice and with your tone of voice and with your values, all that fun stuff. So it can speak as you want your brand to speak because AI chews on what it's fed. Now, the OpenAI opened this up a couple of weeks ago where you can create your own generative pre-trained transformer, where you feed it a bunch of information. So we immediately jumped on this and created our own GPT using our brand guideline, our tone of voice, our values, a bunch of our content. So we fed previous webinars into our GPT. So the GPT had access to that, blog posts, social posts, that kind of stuff. So it could see our tone of voice, and it can literally create output how we want it to create output in our tone of voice. Okay. So this is fed into our GPT, and it knows we do CRM implementations. It knows all this stuff about us. And we said, here, write a short post on the 3 problems a CRM solves for a mid-sized organization and the impact if they do not act upon implementing a CRM. And you can see here, quite an extensive blog post was created. And if you know me at all, and some of you on this call do know me personally, you can see this is a little bit of Steve speak, right? In conclusion, a CRM system is not just a technological investment, it's a strategic decision that can transform the way mid-sized organizations manage their customer relationships. Ignoring the need for a CRM can lead to disjointed customer experiences, inefficient operations, and hindered growth. Therefore, embracing a CRM solution is crucial for organizations aiming to stay competitive and achieving sustainable growth. I gotta say, that's a lot how I talk or how I write in my social posts and in my blog posts. And we fed our GPT this information so it could output in the style that we wanted it to output in. And that's the opportunity for all organizations, is that they can create their own GPTs and then customize the output, not just from large language models pulling from the world. It pulls from the data that you feed it. All right, task number 4, how we use it, AI-driven market insights. So we do a fair amount of research, and to start, we like to understand, to get some starting points. And one of the things that we do is we'll use GPT for this. Is we'll ask it some questions, and it'll give us places to start and do some further research. So a good example of this is we did a prompt where we're looking for some political jurisdictions from the world, such a country or state that would match all of these criteria. Okay, and it spit out a longer list than what we provided here, but it spit out a list for us to do further research. So then we had a starting point, which saved us a lot of time to then go through and do deeper dive into how the structural attractiveness of these jurisdictions for this particular client's technology. And that's really what we were trying to do research was determine the structural attractiveness of certain political jurisdictions around the world that would meet certain needs for the client. So then we had a nice, list, the length of our arm on all these different things and a bunch of different reasons why with a few prompts, which we spent time doing further research, validating. But the client was, very, very happy with the information we provided back, which then we did further validation and could go deeper. But again, time saving, starting points, that kind of stuff. And it's the limitation is essentially your creativity on the prompts that you use. Improving the sales process. So this is one that we use on perhaps a daily basis, or and you can see that you can do automation, you can do behavior prediction, product suggestions like Amazon, for instance, whatever. But if you've got a one-to-one sales process, which isn't using like direct to consumer, like it's more B2B. You create your sales process, you identify steps that AI can support, with qualification, discovery, sequence automation, that kind of stuff. Then you implement and you tweak. So for us, how we use it is when we look at this is just on the lead, basically management of our sales process. So we get a lead. And what we do is we do our research, obviously, when you get a lead, and I use Humanic AI to profile the individual. So I get some insights as to how that individual might respond or want to be spoken to and what's important to them. And of course, you can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator and general research to do that, which you do, right? Then you get in the meeting and you go through the meeting with this framework. And of course, if you're recording the meeting, you can get feedback as to how you're doing with these steps and how effective those steps are. And then your post email, you have a follow-up email. Okay. And, to send out and write up that follow-up email takes a lot of time. That's one of the big time savers that AI has given me, is writing these follow-up emails. And then you can have automation and AI in our CRM, which uses predictive analytics to tell us the best time to actually send said email because it's more likely to be received. And we're using this to optimize our sales process, to get better results. To go faster, to remove friction from the sales process, so it increases speed. So we've gained efficiencies, we remove friction, and we've increased our close rate as a result of using AI in our sales process. Making meetings more productive. Well, one of the challenges with a lot of meetings, quite frankly, is always having somebody to document the outcomes of the meeting and taking time in the meeting to document said outcomes. When that constraint is removed, now everybody can interact more freely and have more time to focus on the meeting and the agenda, knowing that the transcript is being captured and notes are being compiled, which will then document the high points and the action items. And it's a huge time saver, and it is also something that, again, increases efficiency, reduces time, and it's just there running in the background, supporting the humans making decisions, making strategy decisions. And then the output comes from the transcript that could be emailed out afterwards, or even automated to be emailed out afterwards, quite frankly. So this is just an example of a meeting summary. And you can see here's the summary that was done. Here's the next steps. It's all there. And there was a lot more that came from this output with it. But this wasn't modified. This is straight from the AI, and it's pretty good. This was AI that's generated using from a sales lens perspective. But again, the amount of time this saves, it doesn't forget anything, the accuracy, it's all there, and it feeds on the data it's fed. So what are the steps? We've just shown you what we do, but what are the steps that you would do if you're an organization trying to figure this out? Well, you need to really think about this from two ways. You've got a problem that you need to solve, a pain point, a challenge that you think, AI could support you with, or a better way to get started actually is just like, where's a low-hanging fruit use case? Now, we've gone through the use cases already, that how we use it at Roadmap. And now we're getting into, like at Roadmap, we're getting into the problem-based idea, because we're getting a little deeper. So I'm going to start there. It's a little more sophisticated, but to give you some of the thinking. So a problem that we have, this is from data from September to the end of October. We've increased the amount of incoming leads by 300%, but the amount of deals generated has remained flat. Okay, so great, got a bunch of leads, but you're not actually increasing your pipeline. Okay, turns out that we're actually figured out how to solve for that a little bit in November, but we got more work to do. I'm going to spend about 3 months diving into this, right? What's the value of figuring this out, right? We've increased our leads by 300%, and that trend has continued to happen. But if we could increase the conversion from lead to deal by 5%, it would equal a 19% annual lift in sales, enabling us to stroke our 2024 projections. Just like that. If I could figure this out, if I could get that there with our close rates and all the other stuff, all the data we have, we know that's how that would work. So I've got my problem. I've got to go through the issues. I've got to figure out the key drivers that are driving the issues. I've got to have a hypothesis about it. Then I've got to do some discovery and research on the types of AI that can support me with this. Now, there's going to be a lot of different things that we can look into this, like how we actually do sequencing and writing the emails to follow up, or maybe it's a video ask. Not sure, right? This is a big problem to solve for, and going to take some time to figure it out, and then we'll have recommendations and implementations. So that's more complex, and it takes some time, and you have to do a little bit of work to how AI could support you on this. But you can do this manually and try to just force your way through it with brute force, or you can define the problem and try to find some support with AI that can help go faster. So that's what we're going to do. But the use case is an easier one. You identify some quick wins. Well, we need support writing ad copy. We need, support analyzing data. We need to create some automations, right? So, you ask yourself, assuming AI can be applied, how valuable is it to your organization? And that's really what it comes down to. It's like, okay, we've got these tasks. How valuable would AI be? So here's an example of writing a sales email to all clients every week. Okay. So it's like, okay, we got to do this. We got to schedule it. We got to edit it. We got to do all this kind of stuff. And, it's when you add it all up, all the hands involved in it, it's 10 hours of effort a month. And, the real cost of that is what your billable rate is and all that fun stuff. So the cost is $1,600 to do this internally. And we have existing tech that helps us with it. Grammarly helps us with, grammar, and, and HubSpot helps us with the scheduling of it, right? So if we could automate this and reduce the amount of time takes from, say, 10 hours a month to just 2 hours a month, we'd save 8 hours, and we'd have an estimated value of $1,200 a month. Now, this is the things that kind of start to happen. And so a better example is my follow-up sales emails. Well, that has saved me literally 3 to 5 hours a week. Okay, and you get that time back to do other stuff. And so that's how this use case comes in, and you have to think about it as to how I can actually leverage this quickly and gain some efficiencies on it. And this is showing up in our organization with increased capacity for our individuals, earned value on our project executions. We're getting some real metrics back on these efficiencies. And so that's what you do. You'd go through sort of figuring out some quick wins and how you can gain some efficiencies and start to do it. Then what you have to do is, when you've done that, you've tested it, and you've figured it out, you bake it into your SOPs. Okay, now what most people have been waiting for, is a live demo. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Don't be scared when you see my face pop up. Then I'm going to set things up and show you some of it in action. So just give me a second here. Now I'm going to start with showing. There we go. I'm going to start with showing. I'll just share screen again. Okay, so this is Sybil, and this is using AI to record stuff. Now I've gotten permission from this organization to showcase this information. So I'm not showing anything here that isn't above board, so to speak. So, here's the outcome. Here's the next steps. Here's some conversation starters. You can see here's some interests, so deeper understanding. Here's the engagement of the various individuals. Now, this individual here, I was told in the follow-ups was the one that was most keen in sales for our CRM. So it makes sense that they're highly engaged and they're an influencer to help support this process to getting a CRM. It's all recorded. You have a transcript of everything, but this has all been created, and now you can just simply copy paste this, make quick modifications if you so choose, and send it off to the individual. But before the call, though, I wanted to know what type of person Mitch was. So, this is using Humanic AI, and he's a captain. Okay, so he's a DS, which means he's got the dominant personality type and stability. So he's a leader, makes quick decisions, and he's a steady Eddie. He's always there. And so when you look at it, I'm like, okay, well, what's things that's important to him, right? And it looks like I can look at here to say what don't do, right? Don't expect them to short circuit their process. That was really critical point for me to look at here. When I did the follow-up email, I said, when can we do this? He's like, well, we got to do this. They have a long process that they do internally after the initial demo. Okay, good, no problem. Let's go through all that. I support you and all that kind of stuff. And then when we can set the next step, when you've done all those steps, that would be perfect. Okay, so just that little insight helps you with AI has done this stuff. It's looked at this profile. It's looked at the LinkedIn profile. It's looked at stuff that's in the CRM, and it's given us insights as to how to react and how to personalize to your prospect in your sales process. So I've got information on how to actually conduct the demo, how to conduct the communication afterwards. The communication has been documented for me with points that I don't forget, and it saved me a bunch of time. And the next action has been set. And we can see here that this meeting is booked for December 19th, and we're moving along into the sales process. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to demo is just some generative AI. So I have to move to another screen. So just give me a second here. Okay. We have our GPT, which uses tone of voice of roadmap and some blogs and different things that I've written. And a quick thing would be here. Well, let's see here. So write a blog on the fundamentals of, Grammarly's telling me fundamentals of go-to-market. So fairly vague. Let's see what it does. Now it's leveraging information. It's chewing on what it's fed. We've done go-to-market webinars. We've done blogs about this kind of stuff. So it's going to produce this from information that we've provided it. So it's not just pulling it. It's customized for Roadmap's tone and Roadmap's knowledge base. And away this goes. And what I got to say is this is pulling from a knowledge base that we've created, blogs we've created, and it's repurposing this content live here as we're watching into a nice long form blog that will be good for SEO, and we can quickly modify it. And you can further refine this with further prompts But one of the key things here is having our own GPT that gives us the roadmap brand, the roadmap voice. As you can see here, in crafting this blog, I drew insights from the provided documents, emphasizing the importance of structured GTM approach, the need for continuous adaptation. So pretty extensive, pretty quick. That would take me at least a solid 40 minutes to write. And now I can tweak it up and add it in to a blog on our website in about 5. Okay. And now, of course, GPT can now generate images. Now, the thing of it is, if you're a subject matter expert and you don't have a bunch of images, I'll just do a random image here. So we have clients that do, woodworking and epoxy. So create an image of a river table pour. And let's see what it does. There we go. Now, anybody that knows anything about how to pour a river table knows that this is wrong. And I'd have to do another prompt to explain to GPT as to how to do this. For one, it's not a form. For two, it's too thick. River table pours tend to be about 2 inches thick. But it's a good start. And I could say enclose it in a form and reduce the thickness of the wood slab. And we'd get an image that we could start to use. So this is the thing, though, right? So I know this client's pretty well, and I'm arguably a subject matter expert with this type of thing. So I can spot this as being no good and needs to be modified. And that's where subject matter experts using AI, so intelligence assistance, comes into play. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing and go back to the final parts of our webinar here to finish this up. So, okay. Responsible AI. So I just kind of hinted at it, but there are pillars for having responsible AI in your organization, and you need to be very, very aware of it. So at the beginning, we declared that we use AI in this presentation to create the content. You can't copyright a bunch of the images. There's a bunch of the legal debate is ongoing, but essentially you need to be transparent and declare that you're using AI. And the top 5 pillars of responsible AI, with consideration for legislation can be, such as it is in North America, is ethical design and use, transparency and explainability, fairness and non-discrimination. So, as I said, these models, they feed on the data that they chew on what they're fed. So you want to make sure you're giving them data that is fair and doesn't discriminate. Privacy and data governance, right? So you have to declare that you're using this, that the data may be used, to get further insights and be used by AI, and accountability and compliance. So there's a lot of different frameworks on this that are sort of overlaying or overlapping as to how AI gets used in organizations. And they're, as it said here, they're being integrated into legal frameworks globally, reflecting a growing consensus on the importance of responsible AI development and deployment. And as an organization, you need to really start thinking about this kind of stuff and making sure that you're thinking through these pillars as to how you're going about it as an organization. We've compiled some resources here that'll be sent out, but I mean, here's some great places to start. Microsoft's What is Generative AI? Google's Introduction to Responsible AI, Intro to AI for Marketers. And this is all stuff that's free. You can go and you just have fun, and I've done a bunch of them. I've done paid courses as well and got some certifications. The list of stuff that's out there is endless, but This is a good place to start if you haven't taken any education on it and you just want to learn some tenets and some fundamentals. We mentioned Sybil, we mentioned Humanic AI, we mentioned Jasper, we mentioned Chat GPT, we mentioned Grammarly. Those are the mainstay AIs that we're using at this point in time. But AI is baked right into a lot of things you do. It's baked into your browsers now with Microsoft. It's baked into HubSpot, into your CRMs, Einstein on Salesforce. The list goes on. It's everywhere, and it's of various degrees of accuracy and outputs, but it's with us to stay. And you have to find the different models that align with what you want to do. Some thought leaders, if you want just to follow, check these fellows out. Matthew's all about sales. Paul is all about marketing. The other two are more academics, and sort of talking about where things are going with responsible AI. We also are here to support our clients. And so, after going through this workshop and thinking about, or this webinar and thinking about things, we can do a workshop because we've got more experience with this. If you're just starting out, to facilitate the problem and use case models, set up your brand GPT, helping you with vendor selection and support, and then team training and SOP creation to bake AI into your organization. As I said, I don't pretend to be an expert, but we use AI every day, and it's becoming mission critical for our organization to continue to use AI in a responsible manner. And we're here, with industry responsibility to support folks in their journey of starting to use AI. So I'll end now. If anybody has any questions, you can pop them in the chat. We're basically at time. This was a 45-minute webinar. We're at 42 minutes, so we're pretty much on time. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I may be able to answer them. I may not, and I'll give it a minute here. Otherwise, I'll call this to a close. And thank you for your attendance. And if you have any questions as well, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or fire me an email. You know where to find me. And happy to answer questions. Oh, the chat was disabled on the, so put it into the Q&A. My bad. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions come through, or, oh, here we go. I'll start here. Two questions have come through. What would be the one place tool to start with AI if you just wanted to get started? Going back to the use case model, most people need to generate content in some way, shape, or form. So define what the needs are for content generation, and get yourself, a paid subscription to Chat GPT. Although, I mean, the things that went on with OpenAI this last week are questionable. But find yourself a language model, a generative language model that can then help you create some content. That's an easy win to save you time. Do you have any clients using AI for their business? That's a great question, and I'm trying to think through it. We have some clients that would be using it for data analysis at this point in time, but most of our clients are fairly traditional in the B2B sector, and they haven't quite embraced it. They played with it as opposed to making it part of their organization SOPs. But it's an opportunity that all organizations have to embrace and start to leverage, because again, AI is not going to replace people, but it's going to replace people that don't use AI. Okay. Well, that's what we got for questions. We're at time, so I'm going to close down this webinar, and stuff will be sent out afterwards. Thank you all for your attendance, and good day.